Hello, namaskaram, namaskar. My name is Pooja Dwivedi. Welcome to my class, The Daily Current Affairs, where I curate the news from the past 24 hours, formulate the questions, and help you with the skill development for the UPSC preliminary examination. Nowadays, UPSC prelims is not just a test of knowledge or the concept. It has become a test of skills, and these skills can be upgraded by anybody if they have the appropriate knowledge base and they prove to be diligent when it comes to daily solving of the questions. Now, the PDF of this class is provided to you on my Telegram channel that goes by the name of Pooja Dwivedi StudyIQ UPSC. So please do not worry about making notes right now. Right now, just provide all your attention in upgrading the skill, that is how to read these statements carefully, how to know which kind of questions are more fact based and which kind of questions are more knowledge or concept based. So we are going to discuss that. If you have any questions regarding the UPSC examination or whatever I teach here, you can talk to me directly on my Instagram channel, that is Pooja Dwivedi StudyIQ. Let's move ahead and talk about the myriad events that we are going to cover today. Let's first of all talk about ASEAN. With respect to the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, consider the following statements. The first statement says Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Thailand and Vietnam are the founding members of the ASEAN. There are 10 countries in ASEAN. We have to find out the founding members. Initially, this grouping aimed only at the economic as well as trade purposes. Later on, maybe it integrated itself for regional stability. Third, India is both a dialogue partner of the ASEAN and also a part of the initiative ASEAN Plus 3. So what do we have to see? How many statements given above is or are correct? ASEAN is a regional grouping of 10 countries, of which 5 are founding members. These founding members are Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Thailand and not Vietnam, but Singapore. So that makes the first statement to be incorrect. So these are the kind of questions that could be asked. You may know all the countries of ASEAN, but UPSC can trick you in asking you the founding members. If you have not read about the ASEAN and revised about the ASEAN, you may lag behind. So this can be known as a fact statement. Second, initially this group aimed at only economic as well as trade facilities for trade improvement, but later on regional stability. Just remember, this is a test of concept. If there is no regional stability, then how can we expect trade to happen properly? And because this grouping was based on more social and cultural things, then later on, they thought about economic and trade relations. So first, we have to understand from the concept basis that yes, if a group is being made, history, culture, social fabric, economic fabric, regional stability fabric all comes into the picture. So from that perspective, you can easily say that the second statement is also incorrect. Then comes the third one. India has been a dialogue partner of the ASEAN since the 1990s. Some students can feel when we talk about the third statement is I have not read about the ASEAN Plus 3. Some may think that if I have not read it, then this particular statement will be incorrect because I'm so confident if I have not read about it that ASEAN is a member of the ASEAN Plus 3, then of course, from that perspective, some students may think that this is incorrect. Some may also think it to be correct. Oh, I have not read it. Maybe this is correct because I did not prepare thoroughly. So, the solution to the third statement is nothing but continuous revision. If you're confident enough when it comes to the revision part, you can easily say that third statement will also be incorrect. Why? Because ASEAN Plus 3 consists of ASEAN, the 10 members of ASEAN, plus China, Japan and Republic of Korea. So first statement, second and third, all are incorrect. None will be the correct answer because none is correct. None are correct. Now, here, let's see what is the news. Southeast Asia's top diplomats have gathered in Indonesia yesterday amidst a lot of pressure from the current violence that is going on in Myanmar, and also with respect to South China Sea, because China is trying to say that South China Sea is a part of the 9-line map. This region is our backwaters. No Vietnam, Philippines, Brunei or any other country have a claim over the South China Sea. So ASEAN consists of Myanmar, Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam, Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, even Brunei Darussalam, okay, that is 9th, and the Philippines, okay. So 10 members are there. So these 10 members are a part of the ASEAN grouping. Let us see in what order did they join. It all started on 8th August 1967 when the founders from Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore and Thailand through the Bangkok Declaration gave birth to ASEAN. And this is also known as ASEAN Declaration, but more importantly Bangkok Declaration, because this statement was signed in Bangkok. Brunei Darussalam joined later on in 1984. Vietnam joined in 1995. After that, Laos and Myanmar in 1997. Cambodia has been the latest member. Latest means the last one to join. It was in 1999. And this regional grouping from the very beginning aimed at economic, social, cultural, technical, educational and other fields. Promotion of regional peace and stability was also a part of it. And they adhere to their own charter plus the United Nations Charter as well. It is open for participation by all the states in Southeast Asian region. Remember that. Moving on. So India began its formal engagement with ASEAN as a dialogue partner but sectoral dialogue partner in 1992. Later on, it became a dialogue partner in 1995. And later on, this partnership was elevated to summit level as well. And the main aims between India and ASEAN are first, enhancing connectivity between India and ASEAN. ASEAN is also a part of our Look East and Act East policy. Also strengthening the ASEAN organization. As an organization, if ASEAN is strong, then it becomes easier to trade with them and connect with them. And expanding practical cooperation in the maritime domain because of the importance of them as littoral states in the Pacific region. Moving on. The value of trade between India and ASEAN stood at over 110 billion US dollars if we talk about the last year 2022, of which Singapore is our largest trading partner. I asked you about this in one of my episodes, in one of my classes, that which country of the ASEAN is the largest trading partner of India. It is Singapore. Then we have Indonesia and Malaysia is third. I did ask a question about Malaysia as well. The ASEAN Plus 3 cooperation began only in 1997 and it consists of ASEAN Plus 3, that is China, Japan and Republic of Korea. Now next question, if Ukraine joins the NATO, which doesn't seem likely right now, as a member country, then with how many NATO countries will Russia have a border? Very importantly, we have to know about the NATO countries who are bordering with Russia, because Russia is saying NATO is coming in our backyard. And no country who has been threatened time and again from another country, it has been threatened by another country time and again, if they are going to have an organization so that someday they can launch attacks from your neighbor, which country is going to like it? So it is important for us to know about these kind of information. And if you know which countries are bordering Russia that have been a part of NATO, you can easily answer this question. Why do I say this? Because time and again Russia is saying, please do not, take into account our neighbors. NATO, please do not expand your membership to our neighbors, but it is still doing so. So that is why this question is important. So these are the options that we have. Turkey has said yes to Sweden's membership in NATO. NATO is a military organization consisting of Atlantic Ocean countries in Europe and Americas. And also we have to keep in mind that right now it is a 31 member country, Finland being the 31st NATO country, the latest one to join. It was established in 1949, moreover to check USSR's expansion. And since the fall of the USSR, it is trying to expand the membership so that it can encircle Russia and of course launch attacks whenever it is needed. So Ukraine is saying, why not make me a member now? It is not likely right now that the war is still going on. Until and unless the war is over, we do not see Ukraine becoming a member. But Turkey was not happy with Sweden's membership before. Now it has said yes. Backdoor negotiations went on and it has said yes. And also we have to keep in mind that whenever the membership has to be enlarged or any decision has to be taken in NATO, it's a consensus-based approach and not a majority-based approach. What does it mean? 31 members of the NATO should agree to a resolution or the membership of any other country if it is being opened, then only another country can join it. If out of 31 countries, even one country says no to a resolution or another country becoming a member, then that will, fall dumb. So we have to remember that. It doesn't go by the majority basis, it goes by the consensus basis. Moving on. So this is a map that I have taken over here. Although this is an old map, but I will explain you correctly over here. See, this is Russia and here is Russia's exclave Kaliningrad. Okay. And through Kaliningrad, also Russia has a border with the NATO member countries. Through Poland, first country, then Lithuania is second, here Latvia, Estonia. These are the 4 countries that are a member of NATO and are sharing borders with Russia. Finland, as it has become the 31st member. This is now 5. Norway was already a member, 6. And if, by God's grace, according to Ukraine, if it is joining NATO in any time soon, if it joins NATO, then this will become the 7th country. Okay, and here is Sweden, which is going to become a member country soon enough. So now the question will be answered in this format only. If Ukraine joins NATO, 6 countries were already there, 6 plus 1, now we have 7 countries to be the correct answer. Okay, so UPSC can trick you with such questions. This is the skill that I'm talking about. If you do it continuously, your mind starts to get molded in a manner that you will get information in that manner only. You will not study useless things and then you will say, oh, I used to study for 12 to 15 hours. Still, I did not get selected. That happens when you do not know how to study. Even if you are studying for like 6 to 8 hours on a daily basis, but you know exactly what to study, and that will come only through solving questions. Nothing else can be done. Nobody can tell you anything other than solving questions when it comes to this. So remember, these are the kind of questions that UPSC can trick you with. With respect to the Global Multidimensional Poverty Index of 2023, consider the following statements. Nearly 2/3 of all the poor people live in low-income countries. It is for the first time that the South Asia is not the region with the highest number of poor people. And deprivation has declined in India on all indicators. So what do we have to see? How many of the statements given above is or are not correct? The Global Multidimensional Poverty Index, which has been released recently, it shows certain significant things for India. And because India has done so well in lifting out its people from the poverty, that makes the third statement to be correct. Deprivation has declined in India on all indicators. Now, the intelligent tricks when there is the use of word all or only, these are extreme statements. These are never correct. No, here, even you see all here, over here. Still this statement is correct, right? So please do not just depend on intelligent tricking, because UPSC is also going through the YouTube channels. So it knows what kind of tricks are being given to students, and hence it knows which kind of students are to be eliminated, and hence it eliminated the elimination method, right? So from that perspective, please do not study. Study with foolproof concept, and that can be developed with revision, constant revision. Okay, so deprivation has declined in India on all indicators. This is definitely correct, the third one. Now, nearly 2/3 of all the poor people live in middle income countries and not low income countries. So first statement from that perspective becomes incorrect. Third is correct. And because India has done so well, it has impacted the influence on South Asia. And that is the reason that it is for the first time ever that South Asia is not the region with the highest number of poor people because of the sheer population that India has. So first, incorrect. Second is correct. Third is also correct. Not correct we had to select. So one only will be the not correct statement. Okay. Because of course I told you that this one is not correct. Second and third, these two are correct. Now this is completely fact based, as you can see. If you read the multi-poverty index, the summary of it, you can easily answer this question. Okay. So first, second, third, all three. As I have told you, first incorrect, second and third are correct, not correct, one statement only. So Global Multidimensional Poverty Index, which has been released since the year which is being released since the year 2010 by UNDP and OPHI. This has shown poverty in different dimensions, and different dimensions make it multi-dimensional poverty. So we will talk about the indicators or the dimensions as well. More importantly, it wants to associate itself with the first sustainable development goal, that is no poverty. And after that we have 2, 3, 4, 6, 7 and 11. 2, which is zero hunger. 3, good health and well-being. 4, quality education. 2, 3, 4. 6 is clean water and sanitation, and I think it was 7 and 11. 7th is affordable and clean energy, and then sustainable cities and communities. So through the first sustainable development goal, it can be associated with various other sustainable development goals as well. And now this is global multidimensional poverty. So dimensions include health, education, living standard, and in health we have first nutrition, then child mortality. Sometimes UPSC can ask you about the dimensions and the indicators as well. So please in your minds make this map correctly. For health we have first nutrition and then child mortality. Child mortality is one of the most important indicators because the healthier the mother, the healthier the child will be. Education, in here we have years of schooling, so that we can say that there were these many people who were dropping out of school. And then school attendance is also very important. So 2 indicators in one dimension, that is health, 2 indicators in education. Then living standards has many indicators. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 indicators. 6 plus 2 plus 2, how much? How many? 10. So cooking fuel, living standard. Sanitation, drinking water, electricity, housing and assets. So that is why it is known as multi-dimensional poverty index. A person is considered poor when in these many of things he or she lags behind. So remember that. Okay, moving on. See, where do the poor people live? Let's talk about that. Across 110 countries, out of 6.1 billion people, 1.1 billion people live as poor, in which 730 million people live in middle income countries and 387 people live in low income countries. In sub-Saharan region, the most poor people can be found. It is 534 million. After that, we have South Asia, 389 million people. As many as 415 million people moved out of poverty in India between the 15-year period that can be traced from 2005-2006 to 2019 to 21. There have been improvements that have been made by India which has reflected in South Asia as well. While South Asia was found to have 38.5 crore poor people, Sub-Saharan Africa region had 57.9 crore people. Also, we have to remember that deprivation has declined in India among all indicators, and the poorest states and groups, which includes children and persons with disadvantages, these have been making the fastest absolute progress. The incidence of poverty, what does it mean? The number of poor people upon the number of population, that is called the incidence of poverty. Okay. in India, that has fell from 55.1% if we go by the year 2005-2006 to now 16.4% in 2019-2021. And that has resulted in more than halving of the multidimensional poverty index. India was one of the 19 countries that have reduced their MPI value by half in a particular period. And recently only Goldman Sachs did say that by 2075, India will become the second largest economy. Right now, we are just the fifth one. We will overtake countries such as Japan, Germany, even the USA. China will be on the top. China will be at the top. Now, moving on. It lies on the southeastern corner of Deccan Peninsula. It harbors a unique blend of Western Ghats, Eastern Ghats and sub-Himalayan plant species. It is predominantly moist mixed deciduous forest with tropical semi-evergreen forest. It is famous for the Tigris hairy and it has come under the global network of biospheres from 2009. Which of the following tiger reserves is being referred to in the above paragraph? Page, Similipal, Sariska, Mundanthurai. So we have to see that from the above given paragraph, first, so much has been given that if somebody has read even one of the important things about this particular tiger reserve, they can easily do it. If you know which tiger reserves come under the Biosphere Reserve Network, you can easily answer it. If you know the climatic conditions of India and different forest reserves, you can do this. And if you know about the Deccan Peninsula, then also you can do this. So this is more of concept based plus fact based, more inclined towards conceptual clarity. Even if you know one of the statement, fact based statement, by integrating it with the concepts, you can easily answer this question. So this is how UPSC works. Concept plus fact, not only fact or not only concept. It doesn't work like that anymore. That means when you prepare for the mains examination, then you can definitely do prelims. But if you are just going to prepare for the prelims examination, you may not be able to go with mains. Holistic preparation is needed. Okay. So the correct answer will be Similipal Tiger Reserve. Recently, the killing of 2 forest officials that was allegedly by poachers in the Similipal Tiger Reserve has raised certain questions. First of all, there is a lack of manpower and also the lack of logistical support. So this is very important for us to know. See, this shows us that in Odisha, we have the Similipal Tiger Reserve. Okay. And as you see, this particular map shows us the forest. It's here only where we see tropical moist deciduous and also a mix of, we can say, moist mixed deciduous forest with tropical semi-evergreen forest. Okay. In Western Ghats, we see evergreen forest, tropical evergreen forest. Okay. And you see that Similipal National Park or this forest has been a part of the Biosphere Reserve Network. Others also include Manas Wildlife Sanctuary, Kanchenjunga, Panna, Panchmadi, Achnakar Amarkantak, Nanda Devi, Great Run of Kutch, Sheshchalam Hills, Nilgiri, Gulf of Mannar. Don't worry, I will provide you the PDF of this, so do not worry about this. With respect to the free trade agreement, consider the following statements. Free trade agreement could be bilateral or multilateral. Concept building. India has so far signed a total of 13 free trade agreements. Fact. Let's see. So which of the statements given above is or are not correct? Through free trade agreements, countries try to increase trade. And India is trying to do so with respect to the UK. Since Brexit, India and the UK have been trying to develop a free trade agreement. There are certain things that need cutting off the corners. That is being done, but soon we can see the UK becoming the 14th country with which we have a free trade agreement. So, yes, India has so far signed the free trade agreement with 13 countries, apart from preferential trade agreements, not free trade agreements. And these could be either bilateral between 2 countries or between more than 2 countries, multilateral as well. So first is correct. Second is also correct. Neither 1 nor 2 are not correct because we had to select the not correct one. So India and UK have agreed to add momentum to the ongoing free trade agreement negotiations. It is an agreement between two or more countries which tries to remove trade barriers of imports and exports, such as tariff barriers, like if we put too much tax on goods that are coming in our country from different countries. These are tariff barriers. So those kind of barriers need to be removed to ensure hassle-free trade relations. Certain, we can say, bureaucratic issues or red tapeism also occurs when trade takes place between two countries. So we have to reduce that as well, ease the paperwork. Then countries offer preferential trade terms, tariff concession to each other through the trade agreements, free trade agreements. Why does India want to do it? First of all, we want to diversify the market. We have a large population, we are producing good amount of commodity, and the Indian diaspora is increasing in different countries, specifically USA, UK. So they might need assistance, and the cultural influence that the Indians are having there also needs what? More Indian goods to be there. So that is why we want to diversify our market. Also, we need cheaper access to raw materials. Even the UK wants that. Then attracting foreign investment, boosting competitiveness with other geopolitical rivals. And whenever economic relationship is strong with any country, for India, we can say that other sorts of relationship also develop, such as defense relations, cultural relations, social relations. So that is why it is very important for us to increase our economic relations. India has also signed 6 preferential trade agreements. But it is much, we can say that free trade agreement is much larger. Preferential trade agreements can be only for certain goods, or they can talk about certain tariff barriers, not all. So we have 6 preferential trade agreements, 13 free trade agreements. Now moving on, which of the following space missions is exploring the moon of another planet rather than the Earth? Because of the Chandrayaan and the upcoming many moon missions, we are seeing that these kind of questions could be asked. We are not just exploring our moon, we are also exploring the moon of Jupiter. So that is why this question is important for you to know. JUICE, Luna 25, Beresheet 2 or Kaguya. So these are the space exploration mission, specifically with respect to moons. Beresheet is an Israeli mission, not by the government of Israel, but a non-governmental organization. This is an upcoming lunar exploration mission. Luna 25 is Russia's exploration mission, which will be launched in this particular year only. Kaguya has already been launched in the year 2007 by Japan. But JUICE is going to explore the moons of Jupiter, Callisto, Ganymede, Europa, the vast oceans there. So JUICE is the correct answer. Russia has planned to launch its Luna 25 mission in July 2023, this year only. SpaceX is planning to take the Japanese billionaire Yusuke Maezawa and 8 other passengers on the Dear Moon voyage on the Starship vehicle, which can have up to 100 people. NASA, and that is the United States Space Agency, it is planning to launch Artemis 2 in this particular year. In 2024, Artemis 2, and Artemis 3 will be launched in 2025-26. Artemis 3 will put 2 people specifically. One person will be of color, that means a non-white person. It could be brown, black, I mean to say the non-Europeans and non-Americans. And one will be woman. And this will be the first time after 1972 when Apollo launched persons on the lunar surface. And China has announced plan with Russia to set up a joint base on the moon by the year 2035, although the plan roadmap has not been yet finalized. So we are going back to the moon. Why we are going back to the moon? Because we want to develop stations over there so that from there we can launch other interplanetary missions and also have in situ experiments in space. European Space Agency's Jupiter Icy Moons Explorer was already launched, and it will be in this particular year it was launched, and it will reach Jupiter in the year 2031. It aims to carry out detailed exploration of the solar system's largest planet, that is the Jupiter, and its icy moons. It has been constructed by an industrial consortium which was led by Airbus Defence and Space. And it will make detailed observation of the Jupiter's 3 very important moons, that is Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto. And Io is also one of Jupiter's moons. Moving on. With respect to GST tax slabs, which of the following statements is not correct? Yesterday only the revision in tax slabs took place. And that is why I expect anybody who is preparing for this examination to know the answer to this question. Cancer fighting drugs, drugs for rare diseases attract a 5% tax slab. Satellite launch satellite launch services by private operators are exempted from GST. 5% is the lowest tax slab while 28% is the highest. A 3% tax is levied on gold and gold jewelry. So, third statement, if somebody who has been following GST, they can answer this question really easily. There are 4 tax slabs: 5%, 12%, 18% and 28%. 5 is the lowest, 28 is the highest for that very matter. So third is correct. Then satellite launch services right now have been exempted from GST because we want to increase the participation of private sector in launching satellites. So second is also correct. A 3% tax is levied on gold and gold jewelry. This is also correct. That makes first statement to be the incorrect one. And we had to select the incorrect statement, right? Cancer fighting drugs and other rare disease drugs have been exempted from GST and they are not under any tax slab. Okay. So the GST Council's 50th meeting was chaired by the Finance Minister, Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman. GST Council is a constitutional body, as I told you, under 279A, under Article 279A. It takes major decisions with respect to tax slabs. So it removed IGST on cancer drugs. The tax on special medicines has also been reduced. Council has imposed a 28% tax on online gaming, horse riding and casino, which has caused an uproar. A 5% tax will be levied on food and drinks in cinema halls. So Oppenheimer is coming. I'm expecting everybody to go and watch that, not any other like that movie. Okay, Oppenheimer is really good. Cancer fighting drugs, drugs for rare diseases are exempted from GST tax. Satellite launch services by private operators have been exempted. GST in raw and unfried snack pellets have been reduced from earlier 18% to 5%, and this is also there. Okay. There are 4 slabs of GST which have been effective from 2017 onwards. Lowest is 5, then we have 12, 18, then 28. 3% tax is levied on gold and gold jewelry. Consider the following pairs. Maritime exercise, we have to match with the countries. Samudra Shakti between India and Thailand. GMEX between India and Japan, and Zair al-Bahr between India and UAE. How many pairs given above is or are correct? Recently, GMEX concluded, and the GMEX is a maritime exercise between India and Japan. So this can be easily done, the second one. But UPSC can trick you like that only because here elimination method is not going to be applied. We have 1 only, 2 only 1. If there was elimination method, maybe you could do it. But now GST wants aspirants who have been preparing for a long period of time, who have now become more serious towards this examination. They are more grounded because nobody in UPSC doesn't want anybody who has just prepared for 2 months and like that they have cleared the examination. So they don't want that. So if you are okay with the second one, now first and third, these are the major roadblocks. Zair al-Bahr is a maritime exercise between India and Qatar, not UAE. And Samudra Shakti is an exercise between India and Indonesia and not Thailand. Okay, we have India-Thailand Corpat. Now, even if you think that you know that these two are, this is correct, this first one is not correct. But if you do not know about the third, then there is no chance that you will be able to do this question because elimination method is not there. So first is incorrect, third is incorrect, second is correct, 1 only will be the correct answer. GMEX, the 7th edition of GMEX recently concluded, and INS Delhi, Kamorta and Shakti along with JMSDF ship Samidare, they engaged in a 6-day long exercise. Okay, GMEX's 7th edition recently concluded. It all happened in the Bay of Bengal. As in how, whenever such exercises come into being, I will definitely tell you about them. Okay, the PDF will be available on my Telegram channel. I shall see you soon, next day, and then we can solve many other questions together. Thank you so much for watching.